Welcome to the Get It Done podcast. I'm your host, Jimi Ryan. Today we have Bill Jawitz. Bill is an industry veteran. He's been in the industry for 31 years. He has helped to serve 4,500 families. He's a husband, father, coach, and a producing area manager for Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Bill, welcome to the Get It Done podcast.
Jimmy, thanks, man. Really pumped to be here. Excited to be doing this with you.
Brother, for sure, man. I really have been looking forward to this for a while. And, we've been talking a lot and it was just like, look, I got to have you on as a guest. Is there anything that maybe I missed? Here, you've been doing mortgage loans forever, husband, father, you know what I missed? I missed Double Comma Club. I missed that. That's a cool edification of you. Is anything else that I've missed?
No, I'm a dinosaur in this business, but still feel young every day. So I think you hit it all.
Awesome, brother. Well, we're going to get right into it. So the Get Done podcast is it's all about the come up story. Here you are, this area manager now, and, doing all these epic things, going to Cabo, cool, all these cool things. But look, you didn't start out that way. And the Get Done podcast is all about the come up story. We use Elon Musk as an example. He has a story of going from, a millionaire to a billionaire and richest person in the world. And that's all great and fine and great story. I'm more so looking at the 0 to a million story, the come up story. Best place to start for it, Bill, is where were you born? How did you start up your life? What were your parents like?
Yeah, born in Los Angeles, California. I'm a born and bred Cali kid. The only time I got out of here was to go to college in Ohio for 4 years. But besides that, back here. Mom and dad are incredible. They're no longer with us, unfortunately, but just really instilled in me a great competitive advantage of just, if you're going to do something, do it 100%. Don't back off of anything. Live your dreams. Really instilled some good values and just beliefs in myself. And it's been an interesting road. I think with mortgages, like all of us, we just kind of fall into this. I wasn't going to college to be a mortgage loan officer. But as soon as I got back to Cali and it was introduced by somebody in the mortgage industry, long story short, next thing you know, I'm doing loans and 31 years later, I'm still here.
Man, I can only imagine 1990 mortgage loans, what it was like. And
were you born then, dude?
Come on, man. I was. Yeah, I was. I guess it's a valid question. That's 31 years ago. It's a valid question. Nope. I'm a millennial. I'm 1984 for those of you if you want to date me out there. So you grew up in LA. What was it like growing up in LA when you did grow up there?
LA was at the time, I think it was pretty good. I grew up in a smaller section called Playa del Rey, which is over by the beach. I grew up a little sand kid, surfer boy, just doing all those things. All we did was spend time at the beach and go to school. That's all we did. And I played sports. I was just religious in baseball, basketball, football, soccer. If there was a sport to be played, I was doing it. And if I wasn't doing that, I was at the beach. So, LA at the time was really good. Moved out of there when I was 14 down to the San Diego area, Fallbrook to be specific, and finished off high school there and then went off to college.
Wow. How was it different? I have to imagine LA when you were growing up compared to LA right now must what would you say is different? It must be, must be 100% different, but what would you say is different?
Yeah, obviously the growth is just crazy. Back then in this little surf town, there was, just you knew everybody, right? Today, you just don't. The houses are bigger, obviously more expensive. There's a lot more of them. It just, that little town, even as a little suburb of Los Angeles, grew like crazy. So you were always meeting new people. You were always, adding new friends at school. And, it was just, it was a good environment to actually grow up and learn in because you learned a lot and you learned fast. If you were behind the scenes in elementary school or junior high school, as we call it, and you weren't part of what was going on, you were falling behind. So LA kicked your butt. You grew up as a kid pretty fast.
Wow. I would think now you'd grow up even faster now because it's just even more nuts.
Yeah, I think it's just gnarly up there now. Honestly, love California, but I wouldn't want to be in Los Angeles area.
For sure. I think I would probably share the same thing, share the same opinion. Did you grow up next to the beach or like by it? Or like, I mean, was it just, because here, if you're walking the beach every single day, you got to be close. If you're going to the beach every day.
Yeah, yeah, no, we're about a mile away. So it was an easy bike ride, skateboard ride at the time for even a 10-year-old kid. You just grabbed your boogie board, your surfboard, and off you went.
That's so awesome. I'm hopeful that my son Raphael is the same way, in Florida on the other side. So
There you go.
you're 14 growing up there, then you move out to San Diego type of area, finish your high school. Why'd you move?
Honestly, to be very real, my parents passed away.
Wow.
So dad passed away when I was 14. Yeah, mom had passed away earlier in my life, and I was forced to kind of move down there with some family members, just my cousins. Um, Started basically a whole new life at that point. Just started fresh is how I look at it. And tragedy seems to bring a newfound opportunity. If you have to look at it in a positive manner, that's how I chose to do it. So created a new life, started a whole new situation, and off I went.
So wow. I mean, what a well, I never knew that about you. So I'm so glad that I'm interviewing you. I've known you for a minute. Parents died at 14 years old. What did your parents do? What did your dad do? What
Yeah.
did your mom do?
My dad was an architect, worked for a major corporation still involved today, Xerox, and mom was just a stay-at-home mom.
Got it. So was the passing sudden, or was it something where like you kind of like it was coming? You knew it was coming.
Mom, we knew it was coming. That was something that we were prepared for. Dad was not. Literally before I started ninth grade, the day before I started, he went to work, rode a motorcycle to work, was involved in an accident, and passed away.
Wow. So I have to, like, this is a pivotal moment in your life. How do you, as a 14-year-old boy, I mean, you have to call it boy. I
Definitely.
mean, how do you pick yourself up from this, and who helps you out? Because you're not an adult at
Yeah.
this point. Who's the person that's going to like help you out? And then also, how'd you decide to move to a different place and not just stay put?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really have a decision in that realm. You're 14 years old. The decisions was an uncle in Thousand Oaks, a cousin in Fallbrook, and or foster care. Really, I think I'll take one of the two family members, which I did. Just choosing the Fallbrook, my cousins, because they had kids closer to my age. One of my cousins was still in high school, so it made a lot more sense. And yeah, it causes you to grow up extremely fast. But I'll be very honest. I think I am who I am today. What I built, my competitive stuff that I go after every day is all because of that unfortunate tragedy that took place back in my life. You're forced to stand up and say, you can go the low road, and who knows what happens. I decided to stick my nose down, get involved in sports. You know, give it everything I had, made some unbelievable friends and family in the new high school that I ended up going to, and just took the high road out of it, and it ended up for me, thank God, in a great spot. So
I've interviewed for instance, I've interviewed Andy Andrews. His parents passed away when he was 19, and he spent like years homeless. Like he just like wallowed in it for a really long time. How long was your
yeah,
grieving process for this? I have to imagine everybody's different with something like this, but like it seems
yeah.
like you just bounced right back.
hmm I definitely wouldn't say that. It definitely took some time. I don't think you ever get over something like that, to be honest with you, Jimmy. Um, I just decided to use it as a factor and a force to push me, because my dad was super involved in everything that I did, sports wise, schooling wise. You know, he was always there, always. And the lesson I took from that was I was always going to be that dad for my son. So it just pushed me. It just, I took a lot of good out of it. It was an unfortunate circumstance, but I learned a lot. I think like you and I talk in coaching all the time, we have to learn from our failures and see that there's opportunity in those all the time. And I think that's something I did even as a young kid. I don't know what it was. Couldn't tell you. I think it's just in my DNA. But I just pushed forward, and that's all I could do because I didn't see the other side as an option.
Yeah.
Failure wasn't an option.
Well, I mean, my goodness, of course there's no options, but it's just like, yeah, that what an inspiration though for you as now a dad, to always be there for your son and to be present. I mean, great lessons. So you come to this new high school and you're making friends. I mean, I mean, that just must be amazing that you're just not wallowing. You're just, you're
Mhm.
going and you're making friends, you're going on with your life. What was high school like for you? You mentioned that you were got involved in sports. Was sports a big part of your high school?
A huge part of my high school. In fact, if it wasn't for them, really, I don't know where I would be today. I went out immediately for the football team and the baseball team. I absolutely, as a freshman, good at football, sucked at baseball. How I made the team, I don't know. I was a fast kid in high school and college, but ended up just baseball and football took me through high school. It introduced me to a bunch of new guys, bunch of new friends, bunch of new coaches, teachers, leaders. Um, and I ended up walking out of there with the opportunity to play college football or college baseball. I could have gone either way. I actually chose college baseball to start with, um, and decided that was just way too boring for me. Got tired of the same old routine day in and day out. After my freshman year, I went, no, baseball's not for me. I'm a football guy. Got a full ride scholarship to Miami of Ohio for football. Took it and off I ran. So and glad I did. Best 3 or 4 years of college in my life. It was awesome.
You said Ohio. I looked you up before it said Miami. I think you just mentioned that. So what you spent? Did you split the time up, or did you go Ohio first, or what was it?
No, I went to junior college first. Actually, I didn't get any offers for baseball or football right out of high school, so I went to junior college for a year and played both and took the football route. So, and I'm glad I did. So,
Wow, awesome. So what did you go for? Like, what was your I guess what was your major or whatever it is? What did you actually even know, or were you just taking general classes, or what did you go for?
no, I went to be an accounting major actually. Started getting into that and realized that just straight business. Got my BA, got a business degree. So I obviously took a lot of financing and marketing and economics and all the kind of good courses that you need to get through on a marketing degree. But how I did I ever see myself doing mortgages or using that in my background? Never. I came home to probably be an accountant or to be an attorney and become a sports agent. That's what I was. I mean, I'm like, I can do this. I can figure out a way. I'm going to meet Lee Steinberg and I'm going to be his little mentor and or have him mentor me and take off on a football role. But that didn't happen. Unfortunately, I didn't get any offers to go play pro football. I would have loved to have, but it just school was fun. School was about football. It was a business. Learned a lot. You learn a lot when you have to spend 40 hours a week at a job, which was college football, and then still have to be a student, get good grades, pass, and get a degree, which is what I did. And super pumped for it. I learned a lot, learned a ton, and just get to apply that stuff every day still today.
That's awesome, brother. And you did graduate. I know I talked to a lot of people that don't end up graduating, and then they get into mortgage because they didn't have anything else. I mean, you at least graduated. So you graduate, you get your accounting degree.
Right.
Did you right out of college know, like, did you have a job lined up, or was it, or I guess what happened right after college?
Yeah, I didn't have a job lined up. I moved back to California, took a job that I had over the summer as a personal trainer. You
Oh,
know, been lifting weights all my life, and I went to work at a gym being a personal trainer. And yeah, just no real direction. I said I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to take the next step, and I wasn't in any rush. Living at the beach again when I moved back, being a trainer, having a good 6 months after I graduated, and then boom, was introduced to a gentleman in the mortgage business. Uh, had lunch. Next thing I know, I'm in a suit and tie in a conference room for 30 days learning the mortgage business.
wow. So, okay. And you're still buff to this day. My goodness. I mean, I'm 30 years less than you, but you are certainly more healthy than me. I'm just going to call that out right now. Your arm is as big, your muscles, biceps as big as my head. My goodness. So
Thanks, man.
so how do you get to this? So you're just doing training, you're at the beach, you're hanging out. I mean, that's clearly not what you want to do for the rest of your life, type of a
Mhm.
thing. And what, I guess I'm always interested in this because it's just like, did you just meet this guy? Were you training him? Were you like doing something, or like how did the connection actually happen?
Yeah, I was training him. And I think that's a good thing about being a personal trainer is you're meeting so many different people in so many different fields. I knew I had to do something where I couldn't be bored every day. B, I wanted to go out and make a ton of money. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, that was the initial drive. We didn't, when I grew up in Los Angeles, we weren't super rich. We weren't middle class. In fact, I would probably describe us as very lower class. My dad was out of work for years. I remember on unemployment. Um, so there was that drive there. Like, okay, I knew I didn't want that as part of my life. So always that I think is where the work ethic came from, and I knew I was going to work hard at something, whatever I decided to jump in and do. So yeah, just training this gentleman for probably about a month, and he started coming in dressed a little nicer. One time I walked out with him after the fact. He jumps in this red Porsche, and brother, he was 5 years older than me, maybe 3 years older than me, and I'm like, hey, what do you do? And his whole story. He said, come to lunch. I'll take you to lunch. I'll tell you what I do. I'll explain it to you a little bit. And I'll tell you what, to this day, he and I are still super good friends. He, in fact, is a good mentor of mine. We touch base probably 3, 4 times a year. And I honestly owe my success not only to him, but a few other major players in the industry throughout my 31 years. So
What's his name?
Scott Beyer is his name. Scotty, I think he's at Caliber, if I'm not mistaken, right now, but competitor. But we just ran into each other about 6 months ago and caught up again. And super good guy. And then another good mentor of mine. I always want to give RJ some credit. RJ Jaramillo. He's with Movement Mortgage. In fact, he and one of my big coaches and influences, Bill Hart. We're getting together next week for a little round of golf and just some boys and some poking at each other, and you know good 4 or 5 hours of learning. I think today we all learned from each other, which you can't stop learning, that's for sure.
That's super cool. And Bill Hart, I follow on social, and I think he just actually started at Movement, or took a coaching a job over there. I know he's very well respected in our industry. I know a lot of people that he coaches that
Yep.
are phenomenal and just absolutely crushing it. So you get your start.
Hmm.
You got Scotty Beyer. He's driving his Porsche around, and you start. So what is that like? Like what's your first day like? What are you thinking? What's going through your mind? How was your beginning in 1990?
Yeah. So let's take a look at where that market was. We were looking at FHA rates in the 12 to 13% range. Okay. My first day was literally you don't show up looking like a clown. You show up in the suit. He kind of made fun of my suit, which to this day he had every right to because it was hideous. It was this plaid suit. I think I wore a pink tie. And he looked at me afterwards and he goes, I'm going to take you down to Nordstrom's. We're going to grab you a suit, make you look decent. All right. You can't be a schmuck in this business. But literally, my first 30 days in this business was sitting inside of a conference room with three other guys. It was kind of like that boiler room situation. All right. Picture that because that's what it was.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
me and three or four other guys were sitting in a conference room with his head of operations, learning FHA loans, VA loans, conventional, DTIs, income. Dude, it was hammered. We could not even go call on an agent or do anything in the business until we had the knowledge. And today, I think that that was absolutely the best thing that could have happened. Because I think too many people come in today and they're led down a path of, I don't know where to start. You know, we do a great job here at Fairway, of providing some tremendous education and coaching, obviously. But other than that, it was 30 days of just get after it. But after that, it was kick my butt out the door, go get business. No draws, no salary, no nada. You better had some money to live off of before you started getting loans. And there was a lot of incentive to go out and get loans right away, even at 12 and 13%, which, hey, we were all in the same business. We were all selling the same rates back then and just had to do it. So,
Wow. So 30 days, they sit you down and actually train you. Here was my training. There's the corner, Jimmy, and there's a phone. Now go call some people. Like that was basically it. Yeah. And
pick it
then
up.
and I swear I didn't know what to do. I swear I got somebody that wanted to apply and I didn't even know what to do. That's a little training in training in our industry. It mostly sucks. It's mostly just absolutely terrible. I agree. Fairways a leader in that
Yeah.
space, if not the number one. I mean, with all the training programs that Fairway has. But like 30 day, I have to imagine that that was the only company
Yep.
in 1990 that was offering a 30-day training. And like you actually are learning DTIs, what the credit scores are and everything else. And then come turn around, they actually kick you out and push you out to go meet up agents.
Yep.
What place was this? I have to imagine this is pretty unique.
Yeah. San Diego. Yeah, it's down in San Diego. I was at Accubank Mortgage at the time. It's no longer around. They were based out of Dallas, Texas at the time, but there was literally about, I would say, 12 of us, all young guys, all kind of same demeanor, same backgrounds, and we just all learned from each other, man. We were just it was this competitive. I mean, it was boiler room. That's how I still see it today. We laugh about it, but numbers were on the board. You're like calling out, you got a deal. You're talking a bunch of crap to your boys, like, "Yeah, I got four today. What'd you do?" It was a super good environment to learn in, because if I would have just been thrown in some broker shop or some other mortgage company, no way I am who I am today, because these guys were awesome. And I'm still literally, and I don't think a lot of people can say this. I joined with like 10 or 12 guys. I think we're all still in the business today. And that says a lot for how we got started.
That absolutely does. That's amazing. I don't gosh, if there were 10 people I started with, I know
Yeah.
two of them that are in it now. And that's just wow. Accubank, I've never heard of them, and I'm sure that doesn't surprise a lot of
Right.
people. Why'd they go out of business? It seems like a pretty darn good model. Do they just sell?
Hey, they got bought up by somebody. I'm sure they did. I don't recall what it was, but I went from Accubank to Norwest Mortgage. I don't even know if you would remember that name. Some of us old timers in the industry do, but then we were bought by Wells Fargo.
Oh wow.
So I spent actually 15 years of my life with Wells Fargo in the banking realm,
No way.
which, again, you know what? That's when I started coaching. That's when yeah, it was a crazy time, but I did extremely well at Wells Fargo. I was one of their top guys. Closed more business than I ever closed in my entire career. I don't want to do that level of business anymore, which is crazy. Sounds crazy, but no, I'm in a sweet spot. I know where the sweet spot of what I want to do is. And yeah, from Wells Fargo, a few trips to the crazy countrywide world until that was bought out by B of A and that whole debacle. And then one stop and then on to, Guild Mortgage and then here to Fairway for the last 7 years.
So I would have never guessed that you were a bank LO at Wells Fargo. And then also when you said that, then you say, yeah, and I crushed it there. Like, what? I mean, maybe, I guess, look, I've been in the industry for 14 years, but that's
Yeah.
not a long time compared to you. What, like was Wells Fargo an actual place that you would consider working at as a, I don't want to make fun of a loan officer at Wells Fargo. Don't take me the wrong way. However, it's way different than what, like what we're doing today. I mean, it's like there's no,
No.
What were your numbers?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I would no, I would. My best year in the business, I did 175 million.
Wow.
So, and that was with myself and a team of 5 people. I had a couple LOAs and processors and assistants with me. But yeah, you know what? At the time, Jimmy, the banks were still a big player in the game, and they had a good stronghold of where I was at. At that point, I'd moved back up to the Temecula area, which is where my office is still today, and just built my stronghold. Like I said, I started coaching. I started coaching with Bill Hart back then. Owe a lot of my success to him because literally I've gone from that $10 million a year guy to 20 to 50 to 80 to 175. And now, I'm 65, $70 million. Our goal this year is to be just shy of 100 million, but that's my sweet spot. Kind of found it, developed teams as you and I coach on. It's one of the things that I bring to the table is through my mentoring, through my coaching, we've developed teams, and you can't do big numbers and you can't do big business without people to support you and to be all bought in like you and I coach and talk about it every day. But yeah, it was a good environment back then, but would I do it again? No. Hey, Fairway's our spot, dude. I love it here.
That reminds me of a Steve Jacobson quote. I asked him, if you were to do it all over again, what would you change? He said, Jimmy, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't at all. And so this is interesting to me. So what did you learn? What did you learn about doing 175 million a year with 5 people that makes you believe nowadays that, look, that's not for me. I don't want to be this mega producer. I think my sweet spot's 65, 75 million, and I'm happy with that. What gets you to the point where you're happy doing less? I mean, that's
mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a great question. And let's be just very frank and honest about it. The main reason is the fact that, bank pays one type of basis points, we pay another, being at an independent mortgage banker. So comp has to do with it. I mean, honestly, you probably more than double your comp, that in itself, and just the freedom, to be able to say, hey, based on what I want to do I want to take Fridays off? Do you want to work weekends? Do I have to work weekends? Now, hey, I'm lucky. I've been doing this long enough. My relationships are very solidified. If I want to take a weekend off, I take it off. If I want to go to Cabo for a week, I go to Cabo for a week. But I have an incredible team behind me that picks up, so that I'm not even missed. The nice thing about it is, I can go away and people don't even know I'm away, which says a lot for my team. So, it's just a matter of, I'm 55 now. My son's 18 going to college. There's other things I want to do. And I'll always do loans. Jimmy, I couldn't tell you I would ever retire. I don't think you could retire from this business, just the people, just the excitement, the competition. It's just, I couldn't give that up. I can't get that on a golf course by any means, but, just being able to kind of change my life to find that sweet spot, it is awesome. I mean, that's where you've come to, get the freedom, as I call it, to just coordinate your business as you want to, live the life that you want to, have a balance. I think that's the best word. We talk about, you and I talk about it. Got to have that balance, with family, friends, business. It can be done. Um, lots of successful people doing it every day. And I'm just one of those that's lucky enough to have found that journey and got to the right spot.
Yeah, that's certainly something. I think everybody struggles with getting there, and I think it's always something where you're going to be tweaking stuff with balance here or there. Um, yeah, and then the comp and your gosh, I'm just thinking about it. Your team is incredible, and I love how you mentioned that, like, they don't even miss me when I'm gone. Um, and you'll never retire. That reminds me of Barry Habib. I asked him, you know, 10 years from now, are you going to ever retire? And he's like, Jimmy, I don't think I'm ever going to retire, but I don't feel like I really work. And he's like, look, I wake up every day and I provide value. I love what I do, And I mean, it seems like,
Right.
and that's just like, I think that's the point that everybody wants to get to, is the point where, look, we got this team, it's a system, it's running, and I'm literally just doing the stuff that I want. How did you build that? What was your process of getting to the point where, like, look, I can go to Cabo for a week and nobody even knows I'm gone.
Yeah. No, it started back in the Wells Fargo days, to be honest with you. Obviously, coaching with Bill Hart started it. Todd Duncan, still a huge player in the game today, super on the cutting edge back then. I think I attended Todd's very first deal. I think it was in 1990, honestly,
Wow.
if he wants to quote me on his time frame when he started. But Todd brought a lot of cutting edge stuff to the mortgage game back then that is still extremely useful today. Um, and the whole concept of one is too small a number for greatness. You need to have people around you and start building a team. I literally went to a Todd Duncan's seminar, Sales Mastery, still conducts them today. um, Sat down and listened to him, listened to the $100 million a year producers on stage, took copious notes like you wouldn't even believe, and just decided I'm going to start implementing this. Went home, literally called up a good friend in, it's a high school. He was a high school teacher. He did student, he put students out for work. You know, there's a word for it. I don't know what it was, but anyhow, I called him up. I said, hey, I need an assistant. I need a high school student. I'll pay him minimum wage. I need him 15 hours a week. Send me somebody. He sent me my first assistant, and I just put her to work doing mailers, doing this, doing that. There was no social media back then. Okay. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. Just doing things the old fashioned way, getting on the phone, calling agents, setting appointments for me. And the next hire was my first loan officer assistant. I was like, okay, now I'm getting too busy with all this business. I need, and it just kind of gradually grew from there. We have we've got sections where, once you start doing 6 to 8 more loans, need another loan officer assistant. Then we went for that. Then we went for that. So now, we're consistently closing 20, 25 loans a month, you know, and then at Wells Fargo at that time, we were closing 45 to 50 loans a month, which was just insane. I mean, team worked their butts off, but we got it done. So that's where the whole team building came into focus and really started showing me a way that, if I set the team up properly, then I can kind of take a step back and do, like you said, like Barry says, do what I do best. Don't even feel like I come to work every day. Honestly, Jimmy, this is me, dude. I'm in a t-shirt, I'm in a hat every day. And this is, my realtors know it. They love it. I do business the way they do business. It just works. And it's not for everybody. Some people are still suit and tie every day. God love you. Not me. I'm at the beach. I'm in California. And this is how I do business. So
You've come a long way from the plaid suit days. It's something that really stood out to me, because yeah, you are the opposite of that for sure, 100%. So I really want to be super respectful of your time, and there's a couple places I want to go with this.
yeah,
My goodness.
totally.
So Is there anything you would add to your mortgage career? Any like major highlights or major things that you remember along the way? Because look, you've been doing this for 31 years. We could talk about every step along the way, but what would you say are some more like some big highlights of your career, or some things that stand out to you?
You know, I would say the highlights are just it's the people, Jimmy, to be honest with you. And as corny as that may sound, highlights are the clients that are super happy, that, you know, the realtors, the relationships that I've made in this business. Um, you know, the associates, my fellow loan officers, now as a branch manager, you know, the loan officers that work for me, now helping them and now becoming a mentor and obviously a coach with Ignite inside of Fairway. Um, those have been some big steps. Becoming a coach was becoming one, not just being coach, which I'm still coach today. I think, you know, if you're not being coached, you're crazy. You need to be, because Michael Jordan still had a coach, you know, Seth Curry still has a coach, you know, Tom Brady still has a coach. Um, we can't let ego get in the way of staying humble in this business, because I learned that lesson too. You know what? You want to know a bad lesson? Is being that egotistical maniac and thinking you're the shit and being dropped and running into the market in 2008 and short selling your home, you know, trying to move into a rental with your family. This business has a way of humbling you at some point. Don't get too big for your own britches. Just don't. It's going to come back to bite you. And I learned that lesson the hard way, and try and coach the people that I coach not to run into that, because that was a that was a good lesson. It was a great lesson, because again, a failure brought together an opportunity to be better, to be a better person, to be a better loan officer, to be a better branch manager, coach, mentor. And hey, oh, it happened. I'm glad it did. I'm super glad it did, because I didn't like that guy that probably I was back then. And I'm super happy with the guy I am today. So
Wow, that and you talk about this a lot actually with me. Generally, when I'm complaining about something that probably doesn't matter, or like I should just get over, and Jimmy, suck it up, all right? I'm sick of this negative. Out of here with this. But I want to
right,
I want to touch on this though, because
yeah,
when we're in these moments of just emotional spikes, or not even emotional spikes, like literally like everything's like literally all your stuff's blowing up, or like there's real problems, and it's not like you're just being emotional about it
hmm
or anything else. During that time, you had an ego, I guess. What was the thing what made you, okay, fine, I'm sucking this up. Yeah, I did this 175 million. Yeah, I was this person, but you know what? That person's dead. I can't be that person anymore. What was the rebirth like? Was it quick? Was it slow? What decisions were made? What changed?
right. Yeah, you know what? And you're right. You and I talk about this a lot, because you know, even Jake mentioned it the other day in one of our internal stuff. But you know, sometimes we just have to slow down to get better. You know, this is a crazy industry about speed, 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 and that's great and it works. But sometimes you need to take a step back. You need to reorganize. You need to look at what you have in place and reanalyze. Are these the right people? Are they doing the right jobs? Am I doing enough in leading? Can I be doing more? And what I had to end up doing really is going back to basics. And it wasn't, I can tell you, it wasn't a very quick process. I was probably pretty burned out as well at that time. And I just needed to, okay, one thing at a time. Let's put one project on my plate at a time, get through that, you know, and then move on to the next one. I think too many times we put too many projects on our plates, and that project gets a quarter of the way done. And then you start this one and it gets half the way done. And we never complete anything. Um, so as a coach, that's something you and I talk about. Find that one thing, put 100%, get it done, have it running right, and then go to the next one. And that's what I had to do. I literally had to start over. But in that, again, I realized I don't want to do $175 million. I would love to, don't get me wrong. If I had the people in place, I could probably build that. If I wanted to and I put my head down, I know I could. But you know what? I'm really, really happy in where I'm at. And as competitive as I am, and I love looking at our numbers. Fairway puts out our numbers, our branch manager numbers, our numbers, our loan officer numbers. I think it's awesome. And I'm humble enough to. There was a branch manager real close to me, um, Dave Medina. He's with Fairways, good buddy of mine. He out. I had an amazing June. Amazing June. Team killed it, crushed it. He had a better one, and we're both in the same town. And my first phone call was to Dave. Like, Dave, congratulations, dude. Awesome, incredible month. And that's not something I would have done with egotistical, Jawitz back in 2000. I just wouldn't have, I would have went, oh, he got me. I got to get better. No, you know what? Patted him on the back, said, great job, brother. Super pumped for you. And, but that's also part of our core values and who we are here at Fairway. I think we're a big organization built on building each other up and not ripping each other down, which is really one of the key reasons I'm here, and why I'm glad I met Jake and made that move 7 years ago.
Absolutely. I really love that. And this is just genuine and real in you, is that it's not about the numbers, it's about the happiness. And I mean, I think that that's something that a lot of people fail to chase. They chase the numbers, they chase the money, they chase the, whatever it is that we first got into it for, the flash, whatever it is. Like, look, you just realize that doesn't make you happy. And it's honestly, it's an inspiration to be able to say, you know what, I could do 175 if I really was going to just like go crazy with it. But man, this is my sweet spot of happiness. That's such an inspiration. And then you mentioned doing projects and getting them 25% complete. How often do we talk about stuff like this? But Carl White says this, he calls it a half-built bridge. Half-built bridges are expensive and they cost you a lot of time. What was your most expensive half-built bridge?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that is a good question. The most recent one, honestly, that comes to mind is Facebook ads. For whatever reason, I kind of jumped into that early on in the scene. It did really well with it, but I wasn't quick on pulling the trigger to finish enough stuff to realize that it's good when done properly. I was, Steve Kyles is the guy I listen to a lot, and I've referenced his podcast too.
I love that.
It was that old adage. It's like, just get started. Yeah, he's super dude, super great guy. But it's like, something's worth doing. It's worth doing badly. Well, I did that pretty badly, but I got started and I learned from it, and I spent a lot of money learning the wrong way. But it was a lesson that had to be learned at the time, and now, you know what? Now, what I've learned also through Carl White, because as you know, I'm a member of the Freedom Club with those guys as well, because I just don't think you can learn enough. I just soak in the knowledge from other people. But, with those guys, it's just taught you that, you know, stay laser focused on what you need to do, build the right people, bring the who in that know how to do the how, which is what Carl will say every day. Bring the who that know how to do the how, and let them do their thing and get the hell out. Do what you do best, which is, for me, relationships, coaching, mentoring, that kind of stuff. The people side of it, that's me. And let those guys do the other stuff and get out of their way.
Brother, I just love it. I'm gonna have to have you on again. We could talk for an hour more about just stuff like this. But I want to be super respectful of your time, and there are a few questions that I ask everybody, and I'm gonna jump right into it.
100%.
Do you feel like
Come on.
had a big break?
Yeah, I do feel like I had a big break. And it's all about the people I've met. I've been lucky, and I call that a break. Lucky to meet the Bill Harts in this world, the Steve Jacobsons, the Sarah Middletons. Um, the Scott Byers, the RJ Harmios, these people have not only shown me a way to, be successful in this business, but to do business the right way, and to build out a life that fits you, to not be preoccupied by this business, which we all can get sucked into. And then you lose, your wife, you lose your son, you lose your family, you lose your friends. And I made that decision, 2000, the hard way, even through 2008, to restructure. Now, you know what? And those guys, like I said, are still involved in my life today. Talk to just about everybody I mentioned on a monthly basis, and it's super inspiring to, yeah, been able to been around some really great mentors in this business. And for that, I thank them, because I wouldn't be here today. Honestly, I can't take credit for it. Yeah, we've done super good job with what we've done, but yeah, I wouldn't be here without the help of others. So,
Wow, fire answer. If you were to do it all over again, Bill, what would you change?
um, I'd take the ego out of it early on, real fast. Not get caught up in all that BS, because that was as inspiring, and what a great lesson and opportunity came out of that. I think I still could have done it all, probably even better, if I would have learned to step back and take the ego out of it, and just be who I am. And not to say that that's who I was back then. I was just a competitive young kid that wanted to go out and kill it and crush it. Didn't care who I stepped on. But yeah, pretty simple answer as far as that. Anything else wouldn't change it. I think I've learned from my mistakes. I've grown the opportunities that have been placed in front of me. And other than that, dude, like Barry said, I love what I do every day. I get up fired up, 5 in the morning, ready to go, whole morning routine, and I'm just after it. And you don't jump out of bed that excited every day at 55, you know, to go out and fight the world, unless you're super stoked on what you do, and I am every day. Fires me up.
Quick follow up on the ego piece. So I feel like this is something that everybody has to do during their life and like get past
Yeah.
this. How do you right now at this stage in your life recognize whoa, that's ego? How do you get to the point where you're like where you can feel it so much so that you're not acting on any sort of emotional ego or any or going down that road, or is it simply something that just dies in you and you don't have to check it?
Yeah. No, it never dies. That's something that needs to be checked. I don't want to say all the time, but definitely from time to time. There's still this competitive guy out there that wants to be number one. You know, I'm not number one in California. There's guys crushing it and doing good. I'm not number one in our company. Um, but there's a sense that I need to really take a step back and say that's okay. Because I am super pumped and super excited where I'm at today, and what's happening in my world, and what's happening at work, and how the team is, and if they're excited. And so, yeah, the ego thing creeps in, you know, quite a bit still. But, it's just a quick little reminder in the butt where, hey, guess what? It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to take the rest of the afternoon off. I'm going to go hang out, watch my son at football practice, take him to dinner, and chill out the rest of the night. And guess what? That fixes the ego real fast.
That's awesome, man. I really love that. I think that's just great advice for anybody out there, and me too. I mean, look, you're coaching me right now through this interview. This is great. All right, next question. Was there ever a time, Bill, you felt like giving up?
Yeah. Say that again. Jimmy just broke up just a little bit.
Sounds good. Was there ever a time, Bill, you felt like giving up?
Yeah, I would say '08. right before this market crashed. Um, Giving up, I was burnt out. Let's just put it this way. I was burnt out at the time. Was I thinking about walking away from the mortgage industry? No, um, definitely not. But yeah, there's been some low times in the career without a doubt. And it was really, it probably took some mentoring and some coaching and what have you to kind of say, hey, you're really good at what you do. Let's remember what you've done. Okay. Pat yourself on the back a little bit. I think that's something that we all don't take enough credit for. And you and I talk about this too, dude. Give yourself a pat on the back when you get a big win, because there's too many times that we get kind of drug into the crap in this business, which there can be. Let's be honest. But I don't think we give enough appreciation to the good times. So yeah, there was a time where I was pretty low, but luckily I was around enough good people to bring me back up, show me the good side of things, and just pick up and start over. Really, you know what? There's nothing wrong about that. I was listening to a podcast with Frank Ray was on with Steve Kiles just the other day, and Frank's talking about, hey, I think 2021 and 2022 is a year to rebuild yourself as a loan officer, and I completely agree with that statement. I think we've got to get back to basics. We've been a little spoiled with this refi deal in 2020, and people forgot the realtors. Guess what? It's time to reinvent yourself as a realtor loan officer and get your butt out back in the field and do what you're supposed to be doing. So
100%. 100%. I actually, yeah, I saw Frank Ray. He's with Mortgage Marketing Animals now. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. So final question to set
yeah,
it up.
he's snuck in there too. All those guys are.
For sure.
Yeah.
This delay, we have this delay, but final question to set it up. There's a young Bill Jawitz out there. And, maybe they're struggling with, maybe their parents died when they were younger. Maybe they're, showing up to their first, job with a plaid suit and getting made fun of. Maybe they're struggling with their own, 2008 crisis. Maybe they're just super low. Maybe they're struggling with ego. What advice would you give to someone looking to get it done?
Really simple. Find someone that's doing it and ride their coattails a little bit. You know what? I can tell you, Jimmy, some of the best advice I was given was find someone that's doing it right and ask them to lunch, ask them to dinner. See if you can pick their brain for 45 minutes. And I would do that. I would just, those people have got a way of share. First off, they want to be sharers. Okay. Anybody that's doing good numbers in this business, there's no secrets. Let's just be honest. A lot of it's hard work. Let's just show up and go to freaking work every day. But they have a way of sharing their encouragement, have a way of sharing their excitement about the business. And I think when we get down, we need that. We need to see somebody that's A, successful, and B, that's enjoys doing what they're doing every day. So if I was to tell anybody anything, if you're getting down, if you're in that spot, um, opportunity is just, it's an hour away. It's 15 minutes away. It's the next day away, like we just spoke about this morning. You know, Yesterday's a shitty day. Today's a brand new day. It's brand new opportunities, brand new possibilities, and it can change like that. And I think we all have to remember it can change that fast. It really, really can. So yeah, there's going to be bad days, but if you're in that low spot right now, find someone. Reach out, whether it's a coach, someone doing great at your company, someone in that field, because I guarantee you they won't say no. If you want to just tell them you want to pick their brain because you're really respectful of how successful they are, dude, build someone's ego up a little bit and they're going to feed it back to you. So that's what I would tell them to do.
Brother, I love that. That's just fire. All right. I want to thank our audience for joining us today. I want to especially thank Bill for coming on the show. Bill, if anybody wanted to reach out to you to connect, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Probably cell phone or email, 951-757-1885. Text is always best. Just reference that, want to talk because you saw me on Jimmy's show, get it done. Yeah, probably be the best and easiest way. I'll respond right away. That's who I am.
Awesome. Well, we'll put some the information for that in the podcast description. And want to thank you again for joining us. All right, this has been the Get It Done podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoyed the show, taking some value from today, and you want to support us, tell a friend, write us a 5-star review, hit that subscribe button. All those things do make a huge difference in helping us reach more people. Once again, I am Jimi Ryan. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks, Bill, for coming on.